relatives and entertain any kids who tagged along so that they did not interrupt their parents' treatment. I later learned that there was another reason Paul had agreed to join me. A woman named Jenny Anderson, who was the project's whip-smart neuropsychologist. Based solely on my description of her talents, Paul had decided he was in love with her. Paul was like that. To his dismay, however, he learned from our other team members after arriving in Albuquerque, having traveled 2,000 miles in his beat-up VW Jetta, that Jenny already had a boyfriend. And not just any boyfriend, a young, good-looking, bearded guy named Jeff with a serious trust fund who lived just an hour away in Santa Fe. To help Paul get over his apparent heartbreak, we drove out to Chaco Canyon, a remote but famous sacred site for the Hopi and Navajo, where there are some of the most remarkable petroglyphs and other pre-Columbian relics in the United States. A pilgrimage to Chaco is a rite of passage for any serious student of Southwest Native American culture. There was no moon that night, so Paul howled at the Milky Way instead, in despair over the fact the universe was denying him the girl of his dreams, albeit one he had hardly met. But I persuaded him to stay, and after work each day, Jenny, Paul, and I usually had dinner together, during which he tried to win her over by regularly belittling her boyfriend Jeff in ways that made the fact that she was attracted to him seem utterly absurd. I should have sensed that these two brilliant researchers were on a collision course. In addition to his irresistibly winning personality, Paul had a number of extraordinary traits going for him, in particular that he looked like Brad Pitt, was in great shape, and loved the outdoors. Perhaps I should have realized it was inevitable that they would get together when she admitted one evening that she had left Harvard for New Mexico because she wanted to do her field work in a place where she could wear a tattoo and drive a pickup. Shortly thereafter, Jeff was history, and by the time our project was over, Paul and Jenny were living together in New Mexico. While she continued working in neuropsychology, Paul got a job with the University of New Mexico tabulating trends in domestic violence and participating in Native American healthcare initiatives. To my surprise, at 33 he decided it was time to really settle down, so he went to UNM's medical school. His first job was as a primary care family physician working for an area pueblo. While we rarely saw each other over the next 2 decades, we talked regularly, sharing stories of our professional lives, marriages, and parenting, as well as our hopes and dreams for the future, one of which was to spend a week camping together in Navajo country with our then 10-year-old sons. The perfect opportunity presented itself in the late spring of 2017 when we heard that one of our closest friends on the reservation, an Arizona state judge, was going to officiate his own eldest daughter's wedding. The ceremony would be held in a spectacular sacred setting, a place where the roof was the sky itself. Ponderosa pines dwarfed the highest cathedral spires, and rough-hewn logs served as pews. Our plan was to meet up before the wedding and spend a few days camping at an obscure Navajo summer refuge in the Chuska Mountains. It was one of my favorite places in the Southwest, a mini Switzerland, where crystal-clear brooks cut through lush high valleys of meadow grass, where the Navajo would take their cattle to cool off from the summer valley heat. Best of all, the area is virtually inaccessible, with sharp, angular volcanic rocks along the rim, keeping out anything but the sturdiest off-road vehicles. I arrived along with my son Noah and my fiancée Anne before Paul made it there. After surviving the scorching heat in the valley floor, Noah decided to spend the night outside in a hammock with his sleeping bag. Before long, however, the temperature dropped to 20 degrees, and he joined us in the back of our rental SUV. Paul and his family didn't arrive that night. In fact, they didn't arrive the next morning either, or the day after that. I tried calling again and again, but just getting a signal on my cell phone was a challenge. Each time I had to climb onto a mountain ledge, set the phone on a rock, put it on speaker,